And welcome to another episode of Experts Speak. I am Michael DeLon. Today I am talking with one of, my truest fans, but I'm one of his truest fans, and that is Rob Brown. Rob, thanks, buddy, for being on my podcast again, right?
Yes, yes. It's great to have an encore appearance on your podcast.
Yeah. Well, Rob, so I mentioned truest fan. Rob wrote a book called Truest Fan, and it's actually a parable that, Rob, you wrote, which really, honestly, it surprised me when I realized that because it is so well written. If you've ever read like the 1 Minute Manager or any of those books, your book is on par with that as far as how well it's written as a parable. So well done there.
Thank
But
you.
Rob is a and you can dive into this your background here in a minute, but did a long time tenure in financial advising world and finances and things, but he's pivoted over the last few years and built coaching programs and he's got this whole truest fan concept, which I just love, helping business owners, entrepreneurs, financial advisors, wealth managers live with purpose, integrity, um, work less, earn more. Just it's so good, but everybody touts that. The thing I love about you, Rob Brown, is that you're just a genuine guy. You're the kind of guy I just want to go to a baseball game with or a Cleveland Browns football game, woohoo, and
Go
just
Browns.
hang out with. So tell us, tell us how you got into doing all of this and a little bit more about Truest Fan and everything that's going on there.
Sure, great start. I don't like talking about myself a lot, but I love talking about this
Yes.
because, as you said, Michael, I started my career in the financial advice business. I was a financial advisor for over 25 years, had a very successful practice. While I was an advisor, I actually was also part of the executive management team of a regional investment firm in Richmond, Virginia. So I was saying grace over about 250 other advisors. And what I found that I liked doing the most was being a mentor and coach to those advisors. I didn't like it when I had to talk to them about compliance problems or whatever. I loved the coaching. And at a point, I decided, why don't I just pivot? Why don't I give up all that stuff that I don't enjoy doing and being part of the bureaucracy of a big investment firm
Yeah.
that was then also owned by a big bank. Imagine that. And to say, hey, I'm going to focus on helping advisors become the best that they can be. And I've always thought that where you have to start that is by really understanding the purpose
Mm,
behind your business. Because when you have purpose, then you're able to really be your best and bring out the best in others, which is really the genesis of the concept of being a truest fan, of really being a truest fan of yourself so that you'll be your best, being truest fan of other people so that you can help them be their best. And together that all comes together and works out really well.
yeah. Well, we can dive deep into all of that, but what I want to do is spend a few minutes with you today, Rob, just really talking about that coaching and mentoring that you're doing. I know you got some things coming up this year, yet another book coming out this year, which is really cool because it ties in with this whole concept of truest fan and blueprints and game plans and all of that to help entrepreneurs, financial advisors, because you can work with all kinds of entrepreneurs, but your expertise really is those in the financial realm, the financial world. Is
Right.
that fair?
Yes, absolutely. My clients are primarily certified financial planners, registered investment advisors, wealth managers who have independent practices or they lead a practice inside of a larger organization.
Okay. So let's talk first of all some of the struggles that they're having as you talked about knowing the purpose behind your business because entrepreneurs, financial advisors, at one level we're all the same that we get into something we go and we have in our mind that almighty dollar, right? We're driving for something, but so many times that's really not the purpose that should be driving us and we come up feeling hollow. Do you find that?
Yes, yes, I absolutely find that because I find a lot of the folks that we work with are very successful in their businesses. They have great families. They care about doing good in the community that they're in. but they're not doing enough of that because they're thinking too much about, how can I grow the revenue that I generate, or how can I grow the assets under management that I manage? And that becomes the focus. It's, what's your goal for this year? What's your purpose for this year? What's your dream for this year? And it's just, oh, I want to add, X% or X number of dollars. And then you stop and ask them why, and they can't answer the question, and they get that deer in the headlights sort of look in their face where they're like, you know, um, that wasn't why I became a financial planner.
Yeah,
I'm
that's right.
I'm glad that I've had the benefits of that, but that wasn't why I did it. And now I'm at a point where I want to get to that next level of success, and I want to incorporate some intentionality, some purpose into what I'm doing, so that my business can continue to thrive, but do it in a way that really drives that purpose home.
Yeah, and it's so important. And I love the whole concept around truest fan. Rob's going to be there to cheer you on and to help you really come to grips with who you are and be your own truest fan first, because you can't be a truest fan of somebody else until you're your own truest fan. But as you were explaining that, Rob, I was thinking of of let's just say a baseball coach, and I don't have anybody in mind in particular, but I was thinking, all right, let's go. Wrong team, Sparky Anderson. Okay, back when I was growing up, the Big Red Machine, and when he was there and he was looking at, let's say, Johnny Bench, whether he's catching or whether he's at the plate, a good coach is watching that player and seeing how they could tweak something, maybe 1% or 2%, to get a totally different result. And I guess that's the concept that came out with you, and how you, I assume, work with some of your players in your truest fan team to say, you know what, I'm seeing what you're saying you want. I'm seeing what you're doing. How about we make a 1 or 2% change over here, and you're going to get a better result? Am I capturing it? Does that kind of fit?
Oh, that absolutely captures it. A lot of my clients will say that I'm looking over their shoulder.
Mm,
That's why we work together, is because I'm looking over their shoulder. I'm trying to see things the way they see them, but maybe say, you're missing something. Your glasses are a little foggy, or maybe your focus is a little too direct, and you've got to look out to the sides. And then when we can make big change or little changes that
yeah,
result in big differences, then it's like, give me more, because we all have that in ourselves to be able to look at what we're doing, try to, because we're never going to be the best at anything. As soon as we
right.
get to be the best, there's a new level to go through. So how do I
That's right.
keep making those little changes that are going to allow me to blossom? They have a compound effect.
What
And so that's what we look for.
they do, and I want to unpack a couple of those maybe in a minute or two. What I was thinking of is, if you're a batting coach, because I taught my kids in little league and things, and I can't tell you how many times I said back elbow up, back elbow up. To get that back elbow up to hit the ball builds confidence, so that they will actually become a better fielder. Even though I'm not teaching them how to catch the ball, it's the confidence level. And just like you, when you help somebody back elbow up, let's change this, it builds the confidence. So they're going to gain in multiple areas because they have a coach looking at their business, but also their life, right?
Yes, absolutely. Because if you make those changes and they're purpose focused, even if they're small, they're going to impact your business. But because in many cases our businesses are so intertwined with our lives, it has spillover, and then you can also be very intentional about that too. You can say, part of why I'm doing this is intentionally to improve the relationship that I have with my family. It's
Yeah.
to be able to really take what I have and be able to do more in the community, and that's a huge thing.
Yeah. And one of the words you used, I watched the video on your website and things, and you were talking about being intentional. And I love that word, because I've seen so many entrepreneurs do their thing and say, well, my kids are going to be able to go to college wherever they want, or they're going to be, or I'm going to have, and I'm like, and that's all good. But how about, I'm not sure if it was you telling me, or you knew somebody, or somebody else, but they committed to over a 2 or 3 year period of time to take their son to every major baseball park in America because that's what the son wanted to do. And I thought that is going to be more impactful than sending your kid to Harvard or whatever. But it's a matter of understanding a level of success and to go, I'm going to take what I have, I'm going to invest it today. Is it, are those the types of conversations you're helping your clients and teammates work through?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, your story about visiting all those stadiums reminds me of one of my longtime clients, Ron, who is just a heads down, hardworking kind of guy.
Yeah.
And when his son Matt, his oldest son, was getting ready to go off to college, um, I helped him decide, take the cross country bike ride that's going to last months,
Yeah.
um, um, and enjoy it, because you may be able to do something like that again, but not at this moment where then you can have some influence over him in that
Yeah.
journey that he's going to take to go off to college and live his own life. And maybe
Yeah.
that helps you pick, the right college, the right place to be. So yeah, I think those things are really, really important.
Yeah. And usually it takes having a coach, whether you're in a coaching program, mastermind group, whatever you call it, having somebody like Rob that you're talking with on some kind of a regular basis to get to know them. Because so many times what I have found, Rob, and I love your feedback here as you work with somebody, I will go into a coaching program with kind of one mindset. I need help with X. But as I build my relationship with that coach, I realize that they're able to play into not just X, Y, and Z, but usually D, E, and F as well, because of your vast experience and the relational component that comes up as you work with clients.
Yeah. Being a truest fan is a great term, but to me, it emanates from the golden rule um, of loving God and loving others as He loves us.
Yeah.
And I like to think that that really spills over into the way that I work with my clients. Um, that it's I really they're investing a lot of time, money into the work that we do together.
Yeah.
I want to make that be the best it can possibly be for them, because I want them to see that return on investment. I want them to see me as that truest fan, that mentor, so that they in turn can be a truest fan to their clients and to their families, and then they get that um, fandom, that truest fan experience coming back at them, because it's a very circular sort of thing.
Well, it really is, and I think it was Jesus said it's more blessed to give than to receive. And when you receive from Rob this whole concept of truest fan as you're working with him, you're going to be able to give it to other people, clients, teammates, family. It makes your life richer because it really is a paradigm, a perspective that you're bringing to life everywhere you go. And so, you've created this game plan. I'd love to unpack a little bit of your game plan that you're going to be releasing later this year to understand how do you work with people through a process to bring them along?
So before we do that, you reminded me of something that happened that I don't think I've ever spoken about publicly before. And it may come across as a little bit of a brag, but I was trying to think of an example of how somebody could think about what you were talking about, or we were talking about, in terms of that real desire to give. Because it's an easy thing to say, right? But I was in a very large mastermind. If I named the person who run the mastermind, most marketing people will recognize the name. And
Okay.
we were going around the room doing a little bit of a hot seat sort of exchange. And the guy who ran the mastermind looked at me. He looked at me, he pulls out his wallet and sticks it on the table in front of me. And he goes, I don't mean to disparage anybody else in this room. It is a room full of very good marketers. But I can put my wallet on this table, and I know that Rob would only take out what he thinks he really deserves for what he's doing. And um, he paid a huge compliment to me. And I've never forgotten it, but I've never talked about it. But I say that in light of what we were just talking about, because I think that's the way we should give and think about the way we work with other people. Is we really want to be able to say, hey, just take what you need, because I'm going to give you everything that I possibly can in return, even if it far exceeds the value of the dollars you took out of my wallet. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah.
it was a great moment. I'm glad that it popped into my head.
Well, I am too, and thank you for sharing that with me. That's kind of like that holy ground moment to go, wow, that's really cool. Because what he was saying really is he was speaking of your integrity and your purpose and who you are. And I think as you're looking for coaches, that has to be paramount. Because I mean, there are coaches galore. How do you choose the right one? Because if you're truly going to grow in business, but even as a person, you need somebody who's been there, and you need somebody who's has some principled aspects behind their life, who's not running after the almighty dollar. And to go, no, we're going to have a relationship that's going to help you progress and grow. It's not a purple pill, right? There's some work to be done, but knowing the right questions to ask, I think, is really the key aspect when you're looking for coaches. And Rob's been around a long time. He's worked with a ton of people. He knows what questions to ask once he starts getting to know you and start building that rhythm. Fair?
Fair. And that goes straight back to your question that I ducked a couple of minutes ago, to what we call the truest fan blueprint. So a coaching engagement, whether it's me or anybody else, needs to be based on a framework. It needs to be able to say, where are you today? And where do you want to be in the future, and what's the roadmap, what's the blueprint that's going to take you there? So I've developed a blueprint that I call, not surprisingly, the truest fan blueprint. That's also the title of my new book, which will be coming out in the fall. And the idea behind the blueprint is that system that I use when I'm working with somebody, that starts with dreaming big, really understanding what your purpose is, what it is you really want, and then breaking that back down systematically into, what do I need to be doing over the next 90 days? We call them sprints, over the next 90 days, to work towards the 1 year goals, the 3 year goals, and towards those big dreams. It's a very specific process.
And that's good, because I find a lot of business owners don't have a process like that. We're big dreamers, but we don't have a way to bring it down and go, okay, let Caleb, my son, and I just came out of quarter two planning, because we're at the beginning of quarter two right now. And we sit down every quarter, and that's our 90-day sprint. We have our major objectives. And we came out of this one with 2 major objectives, because it's too easy, we have found, to come out with 7 big rocks for the next 90 days. And it's like, oh my goodness. Simplicity, focus for 90 days, so that you can sprint through that and start getting progress that all ties into your big dream and your big why. And building into all of that, hopefully, part of what we want to do is build more free time, more vacations, more. It's just not all about revenue. Revenue is important, but it's not the end of the day.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. In fact, I had a call last week with 2 of my clients, and we were talking about this very thing. And one of them bragged, well, part of my sprint for the second quarter is going to be to build sabbatical time into my week, every
100%.
week,
Yeah.
so that I can really get away from my business, do the things that I really want to do outside of my business, knowing that that time to refresh and recalibrate will probably end up being additive to the business.
100%.
And then the second guy goes, well, um, maybe I shouldn't tell you this, but I just planned for my 152nd off day this year. He goes, my goal was 150. I'm already up to 152, and it's only the end of March. and
I
and
love it.
so it was just fun to hear them talking about that, because I never take credit for what my clients do, because
Yeah,
they have to do it.
that's
I
right.
just get excited that when we talk about something, and I'm part of that conversation, that they actually implement it, and then I know that I've won, because they're accomplishing what they want to accomplish.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because so many times in business we're only, I mean, all the coaches, all the, I can make you an 8-figure business, I can make you a 9-figure. It's all about revenue, 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 and it's like, that's okay, but it's lifestyle is taking time off, taking time away, taking time to think. It is additive, and I was, going back to baseball or whatever sport, but you can win the pennant or the World Series, but through the process of playing all those games and practicing and the camaraderie of the team, you become a different person. And I think that's really the impact, Rob, that you have on clients and on your I'm going to call them players as part of the Truest Fan League, because you're the coach there, guiding them, directing them to that World Series, whatever it is for them. They're going to be on path to achieve that, to win that, but the process makes them a different, better person.
Fair. And I love that term, players, and maybe I need to steal that for some of my own marketing. After all, I am talking to the credibility coach,
That's right.
so I need to use that. And I think an example of that is that both of those guys that I was just talking about were doing less than $1 million a year in revenues when we first met, and now they're both over $4 million in revenue. So
Yeah.
taking
Well,
150 days off and have your revenues quadruple,
yeah.
that's not a bad path.
I think I would
Um,
take that. Yeah. I think I would take it. So let's just talk. I'm sure a lot of my audience is sitting out there going, "Okay, this sounds different. This sounds kind of fun. This sounds kind of good." Rob sounds like a guy I could go have coffee with. How would they have coffee with you? What's the next step? What kind of website? You've got a book coming out this fall. You're putting together a mastermind group. Talk a little bit about that, and
right.
then we'll tell how they get a hold of you.
Yeah. So the only way to work with me, whether we work one to one or through the upcoming mastermind group, is through a conversation. I want to handpick the clients that are in my mastermind and that I work with, um, and not for any other reason than we need to be able to be great teammates. I can't help somebody who doesn't want to help themselves, and that have different visions of what it takes to get to wherever they want to go. So we do it through application. So if you want to learn more about both the coaching that I do and the mastermind that I do, you just go to truestfancoaching.com. On that page, you'll see a full description of the mastermind and the coaching program. And there are several places to click the Apply Now button, which is just scheduling a conversation with me to talk about it. And I can promise you, if we talk, I'm not going to sell you anything. We're going to talk about you and your business and what you want to achieve. And we're going to mutually decide at the end if there's a reason to move forward.
Yeah, I love that. It's so exactly how I teach my clients to position themselves. And when you do marketing right, selling becomes less important. And that's exactly what you're experiencing here. So let me encourage you to reach out to Rob, truestfancoaching.com. I'm going to have all of that in the show notes so that you can talk to somebody who's been there, who can guide you, direct you, especially if you're in the financial services world. That's where his sweet spot is, and he can help you grow that business, grow the revenue, and at the same time grow your lifestyle by being intentional. He's just a great coach, and what you'll find is he's going to become your truest fan. And I'll let him explain what really all that means. But Rob, man, thank you again for who you are and how you show up and how you really just give so abundantly to people to help them grow. I appreciate you so much.
As I do you, Michael. I learn from you each time we talk,
Thank you.
and that's a good thing.
It is. All right. I'm sure you'll probably be one of the few people who actually get a third episode of Expert Speak after that book launches later this fall. We want to have you back on to talk about that as well. So
All right, that sounds
take
like a
care, my
goal.
friend.
Take care.